What's up, y'all? Sorry, taking a drink here. I've just decided, hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 12. Just jumping straight in. Yeah, how can I make this the most authentic thing in the world? So, fuck editing, fuck starting, trying to make it look a certain way. It's one of the most beautiful things I've been receiving a feedback is the permission I'm giving people to be authentic as well. Because I'm done pretending. I know I keep talking about this, but we are in a changing age, y'all. We are leaving the age of Pisces, entering the age of Aquarius, where everything is going to be about authenticity. And so if you find yourself posturing, withholding your truth, wearing clothes because you think it makes you look a certain way, buying things in hopes of what other people do, if you're living any of your life for someone or something outside of yourself, it might be a difficult. Just might be. Here we are, episode 12. Contemplations with Austin. Having so much fun. I just roared in here. I've been on go mode today. Feel creative, and I just hit start, and I'm just now I'm getting grounded in with y'all. We're just resting. It's so funny. If you guys look at all the thumbnails that YouTube, it finds a clip without all of them. My hands are like this or like this. All of them look like I'm yelling at the screen. I get emotive, I'm very expressive with my hands and my face when I'm talking. But I do have a thumbnail coming. It's epic. Our shout out Isaac Mitchell, who designs everything that you see in the Entheos ecosystem. The logo that I love, love so much, I got tattooed on my arm there. It looks funky when I hold it up, but you guys know what the Entheos logo is. You know what that looks like. Shout out Isaac. He's making me a dope thumbnail and little icon for this thing, because I ain't quitting that 40 episodes. I'm going to do one every day for 365 days. If I had edit help, I would do that. If I had somebody that could help me, if all I had to do is sit down, hit record, and go, I would do an episode for 365 straight days. Let's fuck around and find out. But I don't. And the most time-consuming thing is getting this thing uploaded and then clipping out the thing and then saving it and then uploading the save and writing the caption and the description and then posting and then Instagram. It's the part that's exhausting me inside of this. But this, flowing with y'all, answering contemplation questions. I want to start bringing in some of my own topics, like what is God? Or the prayer of remembering. Or I want to use this to teach. I want to do 7 episodes on the 7 Hermetic Principles. I want to do 4 episodes on my first ever teaching I created called The Path of Conscious Creation, the 4 pillars of how to navigate the matrix. Once you understand that we're in some matrix, what's the source code? And I believe that these 4 pillars, truth, desire, catalyst, and wisdom, are how we walk it. It's literally if you can integrate that framework into your life, you understand everything that's happening, why it's happening, how to navigate it, how to integrate it, all of it. So, yeah. Anyway, have a lot of fun. Thanks for being here. Today's contemplation is coming from Penelope. Shout out Penelope, the elder in the Entheos community, bringing back the power and the potency and the importance of elderdom and having people show up to do this work, to lead the way, to bless us with the wisdom bestowed upon us by those who have lived the life that we have not lived yet. Shout out Penelope, 82 years old, still showing up to do this work, still microdosing, still doing plant medicine, still showing up to community calls, putting her art in the world. We love you so much, Penelope. So great to have you as part of our community. And her contemplation recommendation today is very simple, as the wisdom of the elders is. Stillness. That's all she put. One word. Stillness. Let's just feel into that word for a second. Feel into the stillness of the word stillness while we explore some stillness. Yeah, that helped me bring me back into the moment. Thank you for this, Penelope. Stillness. I've actually, of course, this came up. What the fuck? Everything is symbolic of what we're moving through. We only notice or are represented the very thing we need to see in all moments. And so what's been the most fun in this podcast so far is the contemplations, especially with doing this at random. One, it's been really fun challenging myself and putting myself in the spot to trust that I can teach on a dime, any topic. Like, let's go. And trusting in the wisdom I hold and the trust I have for my channel. And the other thing that's been fun to witness is how often it's random, right? No such thing as random, no such thing as coincidence, no such thing as accidents. Every single thing in our life is synchronicity if we learn to notice it. And so noticing the synchronicity of how often these quote unquote random pickings have been exactly what I'm exploring, like outside of these, or what I'm moving through, or what I just learned. And stillness has been coming up, like stillness and meditation and obviously contemplation. You know, there's this deeper part of me I've been exploring lately. I just listened to the most incredible podcast with Blue. She is one of, I don't know her personally, but followed her for quite a few years. And, you know, I'm down to 150 people on Instagram now. I think 3-4 months ago I was up at 500-600, just really being so discerning on the information and the people I let in my field. And I've unfollowed every other teacher that I followed for so long, because it's for me to stand in my truth, stand in my knowing, to teach the foundation of my own perspective that has helped me transform my life, and to deliver that in a way that feels grounded and authentic. I cannot have the noise of other influences in my field continuing to disrupt the truth or the trust I have inside of my own truth. And I'm noticing how it is helping me become a more articulated teacher, a more trusting teacher. And, you know, just backing up, like my whole philosophy is inside of my teachings. I've even had crunch of calling myself that, a spiritual teacher, but it's been reflected back to me so many times. There's also an ownership inside of that. Like, I am a spiritual teacher because I'm doing the best I can. I don't claim to be the best. I'm figuring it out. If there's anything you know about me or have learned so far, like, I'm in the shit with y'all. Like, I'm in the process. I talk about it. I'm in it. I'm not in the goal of escaping it. I never desire to be in a place where it's like everything's... That's not the goal. That's not being human. We're going to go through shit. Hermetic principle of rhythm. The whole purpose of life is to learn to ride the waves, not deny that they exist. And so this is why any guru, anyone that has a presence, anyone that has a platform, anyone that is on stage, anyone that has a voice that is leading other people, if they don't talk about what they're moving through, they're hiding, because all of us are moving through something. Think about this. I'll just talk about it from my perspective. Cleaning up and being discerning about the frequencies and energies I let into my field. If it's not authentic, I don't want it. And these teachers and these individuals that I was following, their platform is all love and light. They don't talk about when they're moving through shit. They don't own their mistakes. They don't talk about their shame and judgment. They don't have integrity to take ownership for their past. I talk about all of it. And I'm not saying that that's better or worse, but what I am saying, and what I will take ownership of and own this about me, is it's authentic. And that is all I care about in my field anymore. Is if I'm not having authentic relationships and conversations and allowing or people in my life being seen, then there's just not room for it anymore. Because me allowing in, think about this, guys. We are what we allow in. Everything is a reflection of self. And so if I continue to follow people, if I continue to learn from people, if I continue to engage with anything in my life that is not a direct representation or reflection of the highest frequency we can measure, which is authenticity, then I myself is saying that I don't believe I can be authentic. I'm not worthy of authenticity. I don't value authenticity. But authenticity is where the magic is. And so Blue, all this to say, I've been going through and unfollowing so many of these just influencers and shit. It's like, I don't need this in my field. If it's not bringing value to my life, what's the point? If I don't have relationships with these people, what's the point? And so being so discerning of this, and I come across her profile, every 3-4 days I'll go through, I want to unfollow 8 more. I know it's June. By August, I imagine it'll be at less than 100. I can see it getting more and more distilled. And it's not to say, I know there's people that probably listen that I might have unfollowed. It's not to say there's not value there. It's about, for me to be the most whole expression of myself, I need to clean up everything in that field. And so there's a lot of people that I have unfollowed, but I'm in community with them. I text with them. We talk, because that's not what it's about. And so also reflecting if there's something that comes up for you. What is that? Anyway, I was listening to a podcast of hers on Acid for Squares, which is such an epic podcast. Shout out to them. I do hope to be on their podcast one day talking about the spiritual practice microdosing. They're one of the biggest spiritual podcasts in the world. And she's just an epic human being. One of the most authentic, epic human beings I have ever come across this in her life. And I just appreciate her frequency and the vibration she carries and the challenges that she has walked through with such grace. And I put out the prayer that I get to have a conversation with her one day because she is such an epic human and has provided so much value to my life. Anyway, I was listening. Here we are, 10 minutes, and we're getting around to Stillness. I hope this is you guys still take something from this. You know, my riffs, my rants. I'm also told that's where the magic comes through, so we're going to keep at it. Stillness. She was talking about this dieta she did, where she went in the jungle for 10 days, and that is really why I brought up Blue. Just that little nugget, but it took me 4 minutes to get to where I was going. And I keep having this feeling like we're going through a massive evolution inside of Entheos. Inside of my cohorts, inside of my value and owning my value and standing in it and offerings and asking the community for support, asking God for support, asking the men's community for support, Entheos community for support, standing in my value inside of my offerings while making it all accessible. Like it's big upgrades coming to Entheos to bring the mission more in alignment to allow the mission to serve the capacity of more people by us being supported in the mirror of that mission. And I keep having this visual come to me about, I feel in the next 3 to 6 months, it's going to get to a place where it's humming. And I get to step out of those day-to-day roles and really be in the visionary and the voice for the mission and hold space for people. It's what I love to do. These cohorts, being in the group chats, the communities, it's all I want to do. I want all of my energy directed towards holding space and being a place people can come to meet themselves. I don't have that energy. 1, the support. 2, because the entity is not at a place of creating more support within itself for me and the people that devote to the entity. We don't have the funds to bring people on to do a lot of the day-to-day stuff. And so a lot of us are doing things that may not be in the highest best because this is what it is to be in service. And I love it and I'm here for it. And as that spaciousness opens up and I have the ability to walk away for 2 weeks, because I really want to. No phone, nothing. In the jungle, in a treehouse, with a maestro, with a shaman, with some sort of lineage. I don't know what medicine yet. And I just get to commune with myself. And the reason I want to do this so bad is because of stillness. So much of the suffering we allow in our lives today is because we're not allowing enough stillness. There's so much noise. We get on these social media platforms, we watch TV. If you look at cartoons that I watched growing up compared to cartoons that kids watch growing up, no wonder their brains are being morphed into this hyper attention needs, like like every LED lights the way they're fucking, so everything is like it's just constantly shocking our attention and our brain and our nervous systems, and it's putting us in this fight or flight state. So much of that can be relieved if we remember what it is to be still. If we remember what it is to come home to just being with the self. A lot of times, this week in the cohort, we're starting the teaching of the 4 A's of integration, another framework I created. Awareness, acknowledgement, allowance, acceptance. It's the process of integrating any difficulty you're moving through. And allowance is the emotional component. And so awareness, this is where most people stuck, and then they spiritual bypass. Oh yeah, I remember I was sexually traumatized. Great, I'm over it, I healed. You don't actually go through the process and then wonder why it's difficult to move through it. And so awareness is like, okay, we know what the thing is, with the story, the belief, the wound, the trauma. And then the acknowledgement is pulling that shit out of the shadows. Pull it all the way into the light. Don't run from any of it. Tell the story. Tell the belief of it. Write the story of what you, from the pure victim energy if you need to. What was the impact this thing had on your life? Like, don't say all the things. Speak all the things. List out all the things. Like, really fully expose what you've been made aware of. How has this impacted your life? What has it done to you, to your relationships, to your sex life, to your self-worth? And once you pull the thing out of the shadows, you need to go into allowance. And this is the hardest part for most people, because the awareness and acknowledgement are very intellectual processes, the processes of the mind. When we move into allowance, it's the process of the heart. Allowance and acceptance are processes of the heart. And for the heart and the body, for that matter, to do what it knows what to do, all we have to do is get still. Clear the distractions, clear the noise. I tell people often, and I know it's so difficult to follow, but somebody will be like, I know I have grief avoiding. What do I do? I'm like, sit in an hour of stillness every day for 10 days, and then let's talk. And they can't do it. Schedules and time and kids. And yes, I get it. Life and excuse. And I only know this from experience coming out of this last breakup, which we're coming up on a year of, which is just so wild to me. 5 weeks from now will be a year. And what that breakup really taught me was what grief really is. And grief is the expansion of the heart expanding its capacity to love. We do not know love without grief. And what I had done is I started to notice the moments where I would want to resist and run. My chest would get tight, it would kind of cave in on itself. I'm like, fuck, I'm avoiding grief. And so for 4 months, maybe even longer, every time I felt that tightness, I would go sit and do nothing. I forced myself into stillness. And that's where I got to meet myself. And you know, in that stillness, I would I invite any emotion that wants to be felt to come through and be felt. I invite any grief that wants to come through to know that I will hold myself in it and allow myself to be seen at the deepest level of grief I'm capable and able of feeling. I would use my spells, my words to create and conjure the result I wanted, and then I would wait. And sometimes it was 5 minutes, and I would be in a deep grief process. And sometimes it was 40 minutes, and it was uncomfortable. And my mind started thinking about emails and to-dos and checklists, and I forgot to text that person. All of a sudden, everything I forgot to do started to come back to mind. Because we fear stillness. And it is the very place you meet yourself. And part of me thinks that this is what the psychedelic space is. It's calling us into the infinite present moment, where everything we avoid lives, which is why for some people it's hard. Which is why it's also healing, is you can't run from the present moment. It's the only thing that exists. And so when we go into stillness, we allow life to move through us because we are not chasing time anymore. We're not chasing tasks and to-dos and distractions. And this is why meditation is so important and why it's so difficult for people. In stillness, I wouldn't necessarily call meditation. Stillness feels more empty than what a meditative practice can be. And maybe not. I don't know. Because now I'm even thinking like, well, is that entirely true? And I just hit a button on my thing, so hopefully my mic didn't get screwed up. But stillness is I think, what alleviates so much of life's tension. Yeah, and so there's this part of me that I know I've yet to meet because I've never taken 10 days, 14 days to be still. I've done a lot of retreats. I've done a lot of medicine work. But that level of time to be with the self, to be in stillness, to meet the parts of us that are waiting to be met. There's this thing as well where it's when we clear distraction and we get still, everything that wants to be seen starts to float to the surface. The unfinished conversations, the unspoken truth, the unfelt truth. The parts of you you've avoided because you don't want to look at them. You've been told they were bad, they're flawed, they're not good enough. So we bastardize and we demonize and we push these parts of us into the shadow where they thrive in the guise of guilt and shame narratives that continue to keep us anchored into a position that we're not meant to be on, like a ball and chain hooked to the ankle, sinking us to the ocean floor almost like an anchor. These parts of us that we have lost, these parts of us that we have shoved so far into the shadows, they just want to be met and they want to be loved and they want to be free by knowing they're okay to be. Maybe one of these days I'll have a podcast on shame and I'll lay down all my most shameful stories. Just to give permission for other people to be okay in theirs, because shameful stories told in safe spaces are where they go to die. And sometimes we push these parts of us so deep into the shadow that we forget they exist. And then we're confused why life is the way it is. But if we get still and we listen, I talk about the ping. If you get still, you're going to hear the ping real clearly. It's always there, behind the distraction, behind the avoidance, behind the numbing and suppressive mechanisms. Yeah, that feels complete. A little twisty and windy on that one, but this word's alive in my field. And maybe I'll do an update when I am able to take these 10 days and go sit in a treehouse in the jungle, drinking medicine every day. I'll have a lot more to say on it. But for now, that's what I got. Appreciate y'all. I love y'all so much. Thank you for the likes, the comments, the reflections, the subscriptions, all the things. And I'll see you for day 13. Have a blessed day, y'all.